West Virginia right the ship on this season by beating an FCS team soundly this past Saturday. Pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let's talk about it. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos, and welcome in to another edition of Coos' Corner. Pull up that chair, sit back, relax, and let me serve you up this shot of top-shelf college football knowledge. What is on tap today? We are reviewing and recapping West Virginia's 65-7 victory over the Towson Tigers this past weekend in college football. Yes, I know Towson is an FCS team, but they were a 2-0 FCS team and a pretty decent FCS team, and they did have a lot of FBS transfers on their roster. That being said, they are an FCS team. However, I've been seeing a lot of negativity online about this game not meaning anything, this game not being enough to get any confidence in the team. And there's just been a lot of negativity about this game, and I get that. They are an FCS team, and it's hard to erase what happened the 2 previous weeks for a fan base. And I'm not saying we should. However, we got to realize that something. Number one, a lot of Power 5 teams have played at FCS schools, and not many have defeated their opponent 65-7 and not given up any offensive touchdowns. Remember, that 7 was a special teams touchdown. The opening kickoff that West Virginia kicked to Towson, they returned for a touchdown. Now, that was not good, and it's something West Virginia needs to clean up. However, I thought they did what they were supposed to do, and hopefully they were able to get some things fixed that they had been struggling with the previous 2 weeks, which we'll talk about as we get into the video. First, let's start with the offensive side of the ball. When you look at the one positive I take out of this, or one glaring positive I take out of this, is West Virginia got to get all 4 of their quarterbacks into the game and get some game experience. That was Nicco Marchiol's first game experience and Goose Crowder's first game experience since last season's game against Long Island, which is another FCS opponent, and this time and even got to throw a touchdown pass along with Nicco, who did the same. All 4 quarterbacks either threw or ran for a touchdown in this game. So, that's a glaring positive. I think the future of the quarterback position looks good for the Mountaineers. When you look at the stats, JT Daniels was 16 out of 24, 174 yards, 7.3 yards per completion with 1 touchdown, a QBR of 77.1. Will Crowder was 6 out of 6, 57 yards, 1 touchdown, 91.6 QBR. Garrett Green was 3 out of 6 for 45 yards. Did also run a touchdown. His QBR was 99.5. Nicco Marchiol, 2 out of 4, 32 yards, a touchdown, QBR 77.4. So, good performance by all 4 quarterbacks. Keep in mind it was against FCS competition. However, some of those throws I saw these guys make were really good, especially Nicco and Goose. Goose threw a really good back shoulder throw. Actually, a couple good back shoulder throws. One to Reese Smith on the sideline to get him into the red zone. Then he threw another really good back shoulder throw in the corner of the end zone to Jeremiah Aaron for that touchdown. I thought that was a big-time throw. And then you look at Nicco, the deep touchdown throw he had to Preston Fox in the end zone. I mean, just Preston Fox didn't even have to break stride, caught it right in the back of the end zone, was able to get his toe down for the touchdown. So kudos to Preston Fox, who caught his first collegiate touchdown in the game, and kudos to Nicco for throwing his first collegiate touchdown. So I thought all 4 quarterbacks played well. And then when you look at the receivers for West Virginia, really the biggest game of the day was had by Kaden Prather. Had arguably his biggest day as a Mountaineer. He caught the ball 6 times for 51 yards and a touchdown, average of 8.5 yards per reception. Bryce Ford Wheaton had another good day, caught the ball 4 times for 47 yards, 11.8 yards per catch. But he didn't play much, hardly any in the second half. Neither did Kaden Prather, for that matter. Sam James caught 2 balls, 53 yards. Cortez Braham, 5 catches for 60 yards. He had a good day. Jeremiah Aaron caught 4 passes for 29 yards and had that touchdown. Reese Smith, 3 catches. Preston Fox had 2 catches. Mike O, the tight end, had a catch. So just a good day all around for the receiving corps. Got a lot of people involved in it. That was good for the running game. They were finally able to get Jalen Anderson his first touches of the season in a game situation. But the leading rusher on the day was Tony Mathis. He carried the ball 17 times for 104 yards, an average of 6.1 yards per carry with 2 touchdowns. C.J. Donaldson also eclipsed the 100-yard mark. He had 9 carries for 101 yards, 11.2 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns, including that one 82-yarder. And kudos to Kaden Prather for the blocking he did on that touchdown that really enabled Donaldson to break it. Garrett Green was third. He had 3 carries for 59 yards. Jaden Anderson carried the ball 6 times for 33 yards. Justin Johnson 8 times for 21 yards. So just a good day on the ground, some good performances there running the ball. As a team, they ran the ball 45 times, 316 yards, 7 yards per carry. So that's what you need to do against an FCS opponent. Now, if there were any negatives to take away on the offensive side, while the offensive line did not play bad in this game, I do think they gave up too much pressure early on. In my opinion, a Power 5 team should not be giving up any quarterback pressures at all to an FCS opponent. That being said, Towson does have a defensive lineman that will likely get drafted in the NFL, so they do have some talent up there. It's not like they're scrubs. But I felt like our O-line did not perform real well early on in the game. Now, they settled in and started playing better as the game went on. But I felt like we gave up too much pressure early. I know that's kind of nitpicking, but, against an FCS team, I don't really know what else you do. Now, let's switch over to the defensive side of the ball real quick. When you look at some defensive stats, the leading tackler on the day was actually Kaden Prather, the backup linebacker who had 6 total tackles, 3 of them solos. West Virginia had 3 sacks on the day. Davis Mallinger had a sack. Jordan Jefferson had a sack. And Dante Steele had a sack. So those were the 3 sacks. They had 7 tackles for loss from Linnell Carr, Taj Austin, Edward Vestorinen. Jordan Jefferson had 2. And Davis Mallinger had 1. So a really good day for Jordan Jefferson. 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 2 total tackles. Good day for him. West Virginia did force a turnover, and that was Kaden Prather. I think recovered a fumble for the Mountaineers in the second half, so that was good to see. Coach Brown said he was going to make some changes in this game at the linebacker position. He did just that. He moved Lance Dixon from the will linebacker spot, which is the weak side linebacker spot, back to the bandit safety position. So a major change there. And then he started X-Ray Low at will linebacker instead of Lance, to replace Lance. Now, Lee Koba stayed at the Mike position, which we thought he might even move him to, but he didn't. At the cornerback position, from what I could tell watching it, I had to watch it on my phone on my way back from North Carolina, but it looked like to me that he started Wesley McCormick and Rashad Ajayi at the corner spots. But we did see a lot of the young guys get some time. Jacoby Spells got in the game. And he did start Sean Martin up front on the defensive line, like he said he was going to do in place of Taj Austin. Sean Martin had been playing really good football. Now, ironically, Sean Martin had the lowest Pro Football Focus grade of any of the defensive players this week, but that doesn't take away from the performance he's had the first 3 weeks of the season. In these games, I'm not sure how much you really take from these Pro Football Focus numbers because these guys aren't getting as many snaps as they normally would. So I'll take the Pro Football Focus numbers with a grain of salt, but I'm sure the coaching staff isn't looking at Pro Football Focus numbers when they make their evaluations. They're looking at film, and I don't feel like Sean Martin did anything, from what I could tell, to lose that starting spot going into the Virginia Tech game. Also, I didn't see any issues with coverage. I mean, anytime a defense pitches a shutout against any opponent, I think that's a pretty good day. Like I said, they did have the 7 points, but it was given up on special teams. And when you look at Towson stats here, they only threw the ball for 98 yards, only had 180 total yards compared to West Virginia 624. They had 82 rushing yards. Towson only had 11 first downs, and most of those came in the second half against the second and third teamers that West Virginia was putting on the field. So, West Virginia overall just did what they needed to do. They dominated the game. And even though it's against an FCS opponent, what I think we can take away from this game is this will do nothing but help the psyche of this Mountaineers program and these players because they finally got to see their score at the end of the game. Their score was the highest on the scoreboard. They got their name in the win column. And I think that's important because us as fans, we might look at Towson and say, well, it's just Towson. But these players don't look at it that way. They try to look at every game the same. And they came out with a win. They were able to celebrate that win. They were able to be positive. Look at the positive things they did. They got a lot of things on tape to correct and a lot of positive things to reinforce that they need to continue to do that they can take you into this Virginia Tech game. And I think that's a good thing. Will Neal Brown stick with the changes he made on the defensive side of the ball? It's yet to be determined. I think he should. I mean, heck, why not? As bad as they looked week 2 rather against Kansas, but there again, Kansas also made Houston look bad, which is another thing I want to touch on. It looks like Kansas is for real, folks. Kansas is now 3-0. They've beaten an FCS opponent handily. They went into Morgantown and beat West Virginia at night, and they went into Houston and won pretty handily. So this Kansas team, guys, is for real, especially on the offensive side. They still have a lot to fix on defense, but this could be one of the best offenses in the Big 12, if not the best offense in the Big 12 this year. And they're going to win a lot of games. I look for Kansas to win 6, 7, maybe even 8 games this year. They're going to be a tough out for anybody they play. So that Kansas loss now don't look quite as bad as it did, but at the same time, we've got to see West Virginia continue to stack wins up. They need to go into Blacksburg and win, which, by the way, I'll have a preview video coming up on that here in the next day or two. They also need to continue that. They need to go to Austin and try to win. But if they can go to Virginia Tech and get a win and even the season at 2-2, it's basically like starting a new season. They can start from scratch and go into Big 12 play and look forward. And I hope that's what they can do. It would make me as a fan feel a lot better. I still don't think Coach Brown would be off the hot seat if he wins in Blacksburg, but it would definitely help his case. But he would need to continue to stack a few more wins on top of that, including a couple signature wins that he's yet to get as a coach of the Mountaineers. So let me know, Couz's Corner family, what do you think about West Virginia's win over Towson? What do you think the positive takeaways are? Is there anything I left out that you want to mention? Let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to check out my merch store. Links at the top of the description box. Don't forget to check out the other links in my description box. So do your Fanatic shopping, your Amazon shopping, and your BetUS online betting and gambling if you want to do that. But if you do, please play responsibly. Last but not least, if you want to support my channel absolutely free, you can do it in 4 ways. You can like the video, share the video with your friends, leave that comment like we talked about, and last but not least, you can subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Help me. My goal is to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the calendar year. I'm just a little over 3,400 right now, so please help me get to that 5,000 number by pressing that subscribe button if you aren't already a subscriber here at Couz's Corner. In the meantime, I really appreciate you tuning in to this episode, and until the next one, Q Country Roads.